It's time for group therapy again. This week, our writer writes, "Help me, Rhonda. I'm looking for advice from experienced admins who have joined a small business that has never had administrative support before. I'm 12 plus months into an administrative role with a 30-person rural construction company. I enjoy the industry, genuinely like the owners, and see significant potential to improve processes and add value. The challenge is that I'm the first admin the company has hired in its 14-year history. So many processes are undocumented, and company leadership and communication is almost non-existent. The rural culture here is very relationship driven, where a handshake often carries more weight than following policies, systems, or technologies. And while I respect that culture, I am finding it challenging to introduce structure, to create efficiency, or to even get simple communication. The four owners in their 30s spend about 95% of their time in the field, are stretched thin, and are focused primarily on operations rather than management. They are kind and great in the field at doing the work, but aren't natural business leaders. As a result, I often encounter hurry up and wait situations, inconsistent information, unanswered emails and texts, and difficulty getting decisions or approvals. For context, I'm a Gen X administrator with 30 years of experience, including supporting multi-million dollar construction projects with formally trained project management leaders. What is happening here for business management practices is the exact opposite of what typically happens in construction elsewhere. I realize trust takes time, but I'm starting to run out of steam. Signed, herding cats that see a lot of squirrels. Now, our first answer comes from Deborah Bullis from Ottawa. Her advice is to start with identifying one owner that you could begin making inroads with. Get that one on board with small but impactful opportunities, and perhaps the others will follow. Patrice Horster says that after paying attention for a year, you can see that relationships are a priority. So now it is time for hard conversation. Start the conversation by focusing on the value of relationships, the strength of the firm, and then show them how those relationships can be strengthened with systems. Patrice recommends that you pull together a meeting, maybe even a fun day, after collaborating on one task, such as answering the question, what is the one thing our firm has that the customers see as different from what the other firms have? How do we know this is why our customers are choosing us? And have a brainstorming session to develop a tool to document when firm goals meet customers' expectations and you won the job. Something that will collect the metrics with small steps, processes everyone is in on, and is open to following a system because they helped write it. Agree on a time period to present the results, then have a big picnic or a game of horseshoes or cornhole or something fun. And when everyone sees the growth from the first process, select another. Always pressing, how can an improved process or system strengthen our relationships internally and externally? It will be a slow process, but you have observation and time in your pocket. You didn't come in with a wrecking ball, and that will benefit you as you bring up the subject of undertaking collective projects for improvement. From Austin, Texas, Marianne Campbell recommends that you become their business partner. Rather than asking for meetings or approvals, try presenting decisions with recommendations. For example, I've narrowed this down to two options. I recommend option A because it saves time and money. And unless I hear by Thursday, I'm going to move forward with option A. Business owners often respond better when you've already done the thinking for them. Now, our next respondent asked to remain anonymous, but they said that you need to ask yourself whether the owners actually want to build a more structured company or are they comfortable with how they operate? Neither answer is wrong, but it does matter. If they don't see value in changing their management style, you're going to spend a lot of energy pushing uphill. Sometimes success isn't changing the organization. It's deciding whether the organization is the right fit for your strengths and the type of work that energizes you. And the next two answers are for me. First, start small. You've spent the first year building credibility, and that's a huge investment. Rather than trying to introduce broad administrative systems, pick one pain point that the owners are already complaining about. Solve that problem so well that they look at you and ask, what else can you fix? In small businesses, demonstrated value usually creates a lot more buy-in than proposed improvements. So let success become your sales pitch. And my second point is that just because something feels inefficient to us doesn't mean that leadership sees it as a problem. They've operated this way for 14 years and they've been successful enough to grow to 30 employees. Before suggesting employee as solutions, ask each owner, what's the biggest frustration of your day? And build improvements around their pain points, not the ones you've identified. You might get more traction that way. Now, there's a couple of different ideas to think around and play with, and I know that you can make a difference, but we always know that it takes a lot longer than we think it should. But you can do it, and good luck.